freedom fighter, warrior with a courageous heart, champion for the poor and working class from the start. You stood strong, never backed away, fighting for workers night and day. You gave your all so we could see a brighter path for democracy. Happy Labor Day, Bahamas. Let's celebrate Sir Randall folks. Ooh la 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 la. Oh, Happy Labor Day, Bahamas. Let's celebrate Sir Randall folks. La 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 la. Defender of democracy and social justice. While you were here, you truly left your mark. Black Tuesday was a watershed moment, a chapter every school should teach. Protesting unfair voting boundaries, the people rose within their reach. Sir Lyndon tossed the maize outside, rejecting injustice far and wide. 2 years later, history rules. Sir Randall helped bring majority rule. March the streets, la 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 la, yeah yeah. Stand up proud, ooh na 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 ooh. Unions near and unions far, raise your voices like a shining star. All laborers unite tonight, never never stop the fight. This division he long to see justice, equality and unity. January 10th, 1967, a turning point in history. Sir Randall played a major role, helping shape the nation's destiny. He helped the PLP gain control, giving black Bahamians political power and soul. Majority rule, opened it up, leading to independence in 1973 and more. Happy, happy Labor Day. All workers march today. Left, right, celebrate through the night. Happy, happy Labor Day. Dance, wave, laugh and sway. Eat your crack conch, fried fish and boiled fish too. Celebrate the workers who fought for me and you. It's all about workers' rights, yeah. It's all about unity. It's all about better conditions for Bahamians every day. Now put your hands in the air, give Sir Randall a loud, proud cheer. Happy Labor Day, Bahamas. Happy Labor Day, Bahamas. Yeah. Yes, you can be heard. Good afternoon.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity to serve our nation through the organization Combat the Bahamas Trade Union Congress. We thank you for this podcast so that we can spread the word of our solidarity in all aspects of our advocacy for the betterment of Bahamian workers, wherever they are, in whatever fields they may be employed, as they contribute to the development of our nation. Guide us through these deliberations this afternoon and evening so that whatever comes out of this podcast will be to the benefit of our fellow Bahamians and all those that we come in touch with. Now take charge of this meeting, guide our moderator, guide our president, so that the words that come from them will edify us, will guide us, direct us, and help to educate us as we fight for justice and equality for all. All these things we ask in your precious name. Amen.
for a few minutes so you can get a good clue as to what's happening. I'm also calling on all trade union leaders to submit to us the relevant information we need, so when we communicate with them directly and they can hear it. So the president will ask the president of each union to send us a listing of the email, an example, the name of the worker, so we can develop a cadre of people, strong individuals, but we want everybody to know what we know. And the only way to do that is to develop more structure. I'm going to let Mr. Ferguson, who is our technical man here, before it is all over, he will give you the specifics as to what I'm attempting to get from you. But you know, he's a technician, I'm a mere lawyer. So I'm going to now turn it back to him and let him tell you what I'm trying to get across from you. I wrote a letter today, so you should get something on it, but I'm going to let him do it because he's more an expert in that area than I am.
Thank you so much, President Ferguson. And what we would really like everybody to do is make certain to tune in to the page. It's the BioC YouTube page. We're actually streaming live from that page. And I will put the page inside the chat when you see the chat. And we want you to not only just tune into the page, but we want you to subscribe. And once you subscribe, we're going to be able to send you some additional information. Additionally, we're going to give you a registration that we want to send out, and that's going to be sent out between this evening and tomorrow. And you would just click on that so that we can keep you informed and you can tell us and you can join us so that you have any questions, any queries. Is there any concerns that you have, that you'll be able to join us on not only the podcast, but anything we do going forward with any of our podcasts for the union or any of the unions that are part of the CBTUC. So with that, I want to thank President Ferguson again. And just before we go, I want to just ask Mr. Munnings if he would say a brief word for us so far, please. Mr. Munnings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and greetings to all of those who are on the podcast. Mr. Ferguson has introduced two of the most qualified labor lawyers, advocates in our country today, in the persons of Professors Thane Thompson and Code Smith. I have sat in on numerous lectures that they have presented. They are not only experienced and learned, they are practical in their presentation when it comes to providing information for those of us who are laypersons and workers. To understand the principles of law, one must have a tremendous experience and training and studies. But when it comes to lay people, they put it in such a way that you do not necessarily need to be an attorney. You don't necessarily need to be one that has studied law in any form whatsoever. You could be the average union leader, the average union worker. When I say average, in the context of you're not having any formal training in the area of law. It is one thing as professors to have knowledge and disseminate information. It's another for you to put it in a practical format so that the average person who does not have any intention of becoming a lawyer they can understand the practicality of the principles. And I believe that this is crucial as we try to educate our membership and those who are interested in the principles of the of law as it relates specifically to labor law and employment law. So I just want to commend Mr. Ferguson, President, for over the last 30 plus years. He initiated this program, come with the Bahamas Trade Union Congress, so that the layperson, the average person, the person who are employed in variety of areas of employment, be it hospitality, be it utilities, be it vendorship or taxi cab drivers or human resources personnel, for you to have an understanding of the basic principles of law. And so this program has a tremendous amount of history, legacy, and the whole purpose behind it is to have a better educated workforce. The more educated the workforce, I think the better chance we will have of having harmony in the workplace. Because if everybody understand their role, you understand your role as an employer, you understand your role as an HR person, you understand your role as a employee. And if everybody fulfill their roles, you will have much, much more productivity because it's a partnership. And I think we'll often hear President Ferguson talk about the partnership of capital and labor. When you put those two together in a partnership, you come up with production. And so I once again encourage all of you, as much as possible, to enroll for this course. Make it a part of your self-development. Because at some point, you may be called upon to represent either yourself or a family member or a co-worker in a particular trade dispute. And this course will teach you the basic fundamentals of industrial and employment law in the country. So again, I commend the CBTUC for the initiative, for the tenacity, and for the vision to educate our people. The late Nelson Mandela coined the phrase which the president uses quite often, that education is the key to industrial success, or something to that effect. I may not be quoting it correctly, and I'm sure he will help me out. But the point is, education is the key. And once you're educated and you understand the practical principles of law, labor law, industrial law, employment law, you'll be well equipped to represent yourself in the workplace and even at the industrial tribunal when and if necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brother Munnings. And I think what we'll do is we'll start to hear from the others who are here inside the room. And we'll begin with the esteemed gentleman directly opposite me. And please, sir, if you bring your mic a little closer, introduce yourself for those on the podcast, and please take it from there.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and Mr. President, of course, my colleagues here, and of course the wider listening community. Let me say that I have been, thank you very much, Freddie. I've been involved with the program now for a number of years. When I returned to the Bahamas from law school, one thing I realized was that I was going to be absolutely and totally bored in circumstances where I cannot keep my brain active. And I actively sought out a program which would keep me sharp and at least encourage me to stay close to those ideas, which took me many, many years to master and to get these little letters that I have after my name, the code and I, of course, it will be more so. I cherish so much because they ain't free. You have to work for it. They ain't free. You have to work for it. So that's what kept me sharp. And this program was part of that process. This program was part of that process because I realized that informing and keeping the wider population informed helps. So let me see this as I begin. This is just not a course in law. It's not just a course in industrial relations. It's not just a course in employment relations. It is really a course which covers the wide span of being a citizen in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It's a course also in democracy, national government. The different departments and chapters of this course makes it very interesting. And it's also fundamentally a course in history. And people don't know that's one of the reasons why I found it so attractive. It's a course in history. Now, Mr. Ferguson, I've got some plans for the way in which we lead this course, and I have some thoughts on it, but it's a course that shows you the progression from abject slavery into the late 19th century, into the 20th century, now into the 21st century, where the labor movement led the construction of this of the body politic known as the Bahamas. There's no question about it. Labor led all of those major developments. Now, at the time we were a colony, but there were a number of things which took place, which is part of our historical development, which is crucial for our kids to know about, for working people to know about, and for those who don't know very much about the development of our democracy, where it came from to where it is. This course is absolutely essential as far as I'm concerned, and just keeping you sharp. That's what I really particularly enjoy that part about the historical part of it, and hopefully we're going to be able to widen the scope of this course to make it attractive to those who consider themselves to be historians. It's also a course that allows you to prepare yourself if you are in the human resource management business to understand democracy in the workplace. That's what this course is also about, democracy in the workplace. It's about how you deal with people on the level of the floor. It's also about something that many people take for granted, but we all have to practice it every day. You see it going on, I can't crack that joke about the House of Assembly, but you see it going on all over the place. People have an opportunity and a right to respond and to speak. And it's about our democracy. It's about the Constitution that we cherish so much, and it's also about our democracy. It's about how persons, if they're dealt with in a particular way, especially as it relates to discipline, must be given an opportunity to put their case. It's basic, simple, constitutional law, and it predates my law degree. It predates hundreds of years of the English experience. Even though the Brits think that they came with democracy first, it ain't true. But it actually it steeps us in that tradition, otherwise known as democracy. Every man and woman ought to have a right to be heard in circumstances where he has an issue that he has to address, especially in the workplace. Why? Because Mr. Ferguson is right when it comes to capital and labor. When capital and labor come into the same space, if they don't find a way to work things out, it's going to be pure chaos. And this course is also part of that process of training trade unionists as to how to manage their affairs, how to be aware of how democracy, the union, is to be run, and so forth. So it's much bigger than this. It's not just a course in law, ladies and gentlemen. Let me not discourage you. You're not going to get a lecture in the city all day talk about the finer points of Audi, Alter, and Part-10. A man has already heard. I'm going to explain. We're going to explain to you what that means in practical terms. So if the fellow won't walk up to you and say, well, you're terminated, no process, you don't even know what you're talking about. You very rarely will know by automatic whatever, by this, it's just automatic. You just can't terminate me like that. What was this all about? Well, I believe this happened. Well, there's the investigation. And I was told, well, there's that. So you sure you could rely on what someone tell you third hand? All those things come into this process of training and preparing us for appreciating the width and breadth of this course. It's about your democracy, it's about your ability to defend yourself, it's about your ability to prosecute an issue on your behalf. It's much bigger. I've been part of the program, thankfully, for a number of years, and I can tell you, it keeps my brain sharp, keeps me sharp. I read because I enjoy it. It's like I'm a reader. A lot of you don't know very much about me that way. I am a reader. I like to read. I'm scared of reading. That's maybe why my eyes, anyhow. But I like to read. So, and reading helps to keep you sharp and so forth, and many issues. Now, Obi, I'm sure is going to go much more so, and code over the specific areas of the course. I will just very, very quickly say something very generally. It's about what the law is all about, learning the law. It's about how the law works. And I'm not going to get technical. It's really about, so, and for public servants who are listening, especially public servants who work in the public service on a daily basis, it puts into context general orders. What is it all about? What are my rights and privileges? General orders. It also deals with how the government works. We've seen how the Speaker and one of the members of the opposition has been behaving in Parliament over the last couple of days, but it puts into context all of that. Where did that tradition come from? What is the legislature all about? What is the executive all about? And what is the judiciary all about? The three arms of government. It teaches you how your government works. It actually teaches you, shows you, tells you. This is how your government works. And if it ain't working this way, then there's something wrong. We have a long tradition. And that tradition goes into part of our colonial heritage, but we have a long tradition. And the Bahamas has been known to be one of the best little democracies in the world. Check it out. Google it. The best little democracies in the world, where the institutions, notwithstanding their problems, the three arms of government, the government seems the governance seems to work. And when we say government, by the way, lawyers don't just mean the legislature led by the Prime Minister. Lawyers mean the three arms of government. Government includes the judiciary, who's led by Zane Winder, and of course Miss Patricia DeVoe, the Speaker of the House, and the leader of the executive, Mr. Davis, Philip Ray Davis. They are the major institutional holders in the country, separate apart from the role of the Governor General. And that, again, we can deal with that, but the Governor General is crucial, because we remember during COVID, the power that was revealed and displayed, I think it's on Article 29, correct me if I get it wrong, Code, by the Prime Minister to protect us during COVID. And the fact that certain how to settle a dispute rather than going to court. Save some money. The International Labour Organization, the important organization, which really has been powerful, I guess Mr. Ferguson may explain this, in shaping some of the statutes which we consider to be so important in protecting ourselves. We see the new developments, recent developments. Women should be interested in this. And maternal rights, 2026 was important in that regard. 2025, sorry. 2025 was important in that regard. And of course, family leave. Now, men, they ain't getting enough yet. We ain't getting enough yet, Obi. We ain't getting enough yet. Men get a certain number of years, a certain number of weeks, am I right, Cole? A certain number of weeks to take off to bring up the kids in the first few weeks of that child's life. They ain't treated us yet the same level as the ladies, but that may happen down the line at some stage. I don't know. And of course, finally, two issues, a good union management and staff representation. How do you represent your members? So trade unions should be important and interested in this. And you cannot, Madam and Mr. Presidents out there, personalize your leadership of the union. So, for example, if there's someone in the union you don't like, and they need to see Mr. Ferguson or Code urgently, you can't say, well, I don't like you, so I can't pay this bill, or I can't see Mr. Ferguson. Once you are a member in good standing, you're entitled to be represented.
Yes.
Financial member, you're entitled to be represented. The pettiness of trade unionism in this country is amazing. I don't like her, so I can't pay her bills to go see Mr. Ferguson. Well, come on now, give me a break. But it's a big and it's an all-encompassing course. I hope you guys find it interesting. We're looking for a big cohort this time around. We really want to get we really want to get the numbers reflecting the interest. I think you guys would enjoy the course, and anyone really can take it if you want. So, Obi, thanks, Thomas. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Wonderful snippets, excellent bites. I'm certain we're going to have some more from you. And just moving along, we're going to go to the other honorable gentleman in the room, Mr. Coward Smith, and he will also introduce himself, and we'll take it over from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ferguson. Everyone who's listening to me, the study of law is something that we all think about, and we all think it is very difficult and it's only for certain kinds of people. Not so. First of all, the study of law is fun, a lot of fun, if you want to see the fun in it. But just some basic principles we all know. Anyone can study law. Anyone could be a lawyer. Anyone could be a wonderful lawyer. You don't have to have 10 GCEs or know English language, none of that stuff. You have to have respect, first of all, loyalty, common sense. These are some basic things that your parents teach you about all the time. You could be defiant. You don't have to go along with the program just to appease somebody. You have to be a challenger, someone who's going to ask the questions. When I was going through my universities and all the rest of that stuff, the biggest thing I did, which I didn't really know how important it was until after classes a couple of times. I would sit sometimes, for the most part, in the front of the classroom, and I would ask every question I could think of in the course of that program. And as a result of it, someone who was not brave enough to ask the question would come afterwards and say, boy, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I had the same thing in my mind, but I was kind of afraid. You cannot be afraid. If you have respect and loyalty for the program, I was loyal to my mother because she worked very hard for me to get where I was then. And I had to just make sure to do what needed to be done. The whole concept of democracy, which is what Fain just spoke about, is important. We must always understand that the whole purpose for most of us of what we have to do in life on a regular basis is to make sure that everyone is treated right. And that is what a lawyer's real focus is, to make sure everyone is treated right. Sometimes, we lawyers get bad name because we represent some people who others may be questionable. Say, well, why would you represent him or her? Well, he needs to have a voice. And my job is to be the voice in the room or the courtroom for someone who may not necessarily have the chance to speak. When we have people who are fired and they are given some apparently good packages, and someone say, boy, I just got, for example, $100,000, and someone who doesn't know say, yeah, that's a lot of money. And then when you sit down in front of a person like Obi Ferguson, who's really an expert, he said, no, well, when we break it down, and when you break it down, you see blah, 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 blah. Guess what? The person really should have gotten $200,000. But they didn't know that. And so what Obi's job is, as all of us in the law, is to help people to understand what the processes are. So sometimes, yes, we go into technicalities and we look at law and look at process and procedure and come back with a solution, because that's what we do. But it is fun to figure those things out. You have to know who you are. You know the people say, know thyself. Very, very important to the practice of law. And once you have that, what I said, the respect and loyalty in the process, what you're doing, you will never, ever go wrong. You have to fiercely advocate for your clients. whenever the time comes, but be respectful at the same time. And there is no reason why, like I was when I was in high school. I was telling someone just the other day that here it is that I was going to history class, and Obi, they were teaching me so much about king this and queen that, and I said I'm not going to go to class anymore. And I was in high school, and I was sent to the principal, and most of you would know who the principal was, Eris Manka. And when I went to Mr. Manka, he said, "Code, why is this? I'm told that you didn't want to go to history class." I said, "No, sir." I said, I am the president of the student union now, so I have to stand up for the rights of people. I don't have a problem learning about anything, but I really want to start learning about myself. Why can't they start teaching us history about the Bahamas?
Recording in progress.
Because we didn't have the history of the Bahamas properly taught in schools when I was in school. And so we had this program, they used to call it civics. And we were learning all things about the slavery and all that. But guess what? We never learned about African people, truthfully. If you were to have asked when I was in school, it would be anyone but Randall Fox, they say, who that is? The only fox that we always knew is the fox who run on four legs. Or when you talk about people, you heard what the fox fellow who burned down Parliament in England? Because we were taught about those people, but we didn't know who Randall Fox was. And so here it is now. We just had Labor Day the other day. And Obi, I commend you and the CBTUC to have come up with what I consider to be a very important achievement for Labor Day in recent times. And that is for us to go back to where it started. And where it started really, for all of you who are listening, it started on Wolf Road, right across the road from, what's the school name? They call it the prep school in my day. What do they call it now? Stephen Dillard School. And right across from Stephen Dillard School is the House of Labor. That's where Randall Fox started it all. Yeah, there was a lot of talk recently and a few years ago where some political mischievous people were trying to say that Obi was trying to get the Labor building for himself. Obi don't need that. I've known Obi literally all of my life, being a family member. But I can tell you one thing. He is committed to this kind of program that you have going on this podcast. He's committed to the labor movement. All of what I knew about labor, all of my interest in labor has always been centered around him doing things over the last 30 years that I've been practicing. And so one thing I want to encourage all of you to do is, if you are able to, remember there's nothing negative in the concept of law. You can be defiant. You can be no manners, but still respectful. Because at the end of the day, you can't decide that you're going to give respect and laud someone who's doing wrong. The other day, some people mentioned here already about what happened in Parliament the other day. It was absolutely wrong for Mr. Rollins to say what he said to the Speaker of the House. I don't have a problem calling a name. And if it is someone will sue me, come on, I'm ready. But you cannot say to the Speaker that you want her, because if you say it like that, you're saying that you wish she would have fallen down and be ill. That is wrong. You could still be defiant. You can say, no, Mrs. Speaker, we want to do this. But you say it with respect. And you can be very forceful, but don't wish harm on anyone. No need for it. And at the end of the day, everyone will get their upcomings. And we all need to know Obi. And even though it may sound complicated and technical, but we all need to understand, and most of you out there can understand, that what the Speaker said when the thing was said to her, all she simply said, she said, listen, the way the rules are that once the House of Assembly dissolves, now I want you all to think about this as lay people, just regular people. If something stops, it means that whatever was going on while it was going on, and before it stopped, all of those things stop as well. If you die tomorrow, guess what? All of the nice homes and beautiful cars, all that stop. You can't drive anymore. You can't do anything else anymore. You're not there with your family anymore. When Parliament stops, everything that was going on in that Parliament before also stops. And so what needs to happen is you need now to go through rules which are written in Parliament to determine how you're going to go on to the next level. And what that says is that you have to now convince everyone in Parliament to go along with you with whatever program you have in your mind. There's no need to become personal. Just follow the rules. And if you are in that game of politics, try to win people over to your side. That is what all of this is about. No matter what you look at, we can be very technical. And yes, law can become very boring, as Fain just said just a moment ago, and very technical at times. But it is fun to figure it out. And if it is that you can get to the stage that we are, then you become an advocate. And the advocacy now is, I'm talking about being able to present yourself, your case. And that's what we are about, helping you to articulate your position. And again, with this program, we've seen a lot of people, they're not nurses, they are housekeepers, and they come to this course. And once they pull one or two of the facts together, they can put it together. And they sound like lawyers. You sometimes don't know that they're not lawyers. And they make their presentation. So I can tell you one thing, this is something that's worthwhile to get involved with.
Thank you so much. And there's a couple of questions that I have. Firstly, and maybe y'all could take one question each. Do you think that somebody is too old to study law?
No, never.
Okay.
Let me answer that one quick.
Okay.
Let me answer that quick. Listen, the best thing is,
Yes.
actually, the older you are, the better a lawyer you can become. And the reality is, when you're 18 or 19 or 21, when most people become lawyers, you don't know anything. In fact, when I did law, I was in my 30s. And the beautiful thing about that was I was able to do my law degree in 2 years. Not because I'm smart, but because I had experience in life. The university I went to, which was in Wales, said, come, you can do this program. You have 2 years to do it, rather than 4 years and 5 years for some people. 2 years.
Code all but intermediate, crucial, essential learning because it prepares people for life. These are life skills. These are not just skills limited to lawyers. Now, you got 3 lawyers in the room, but not just limited to lawyers. We have these are practical, for example, on the work floor, the workplace, how to protect your members, how to ensure that if someone's, there's one matter, I'm not going to call his name, we got to try to be careful. There's a gentleman who recently finds himself in a situation where his terms are being changed. His terms of employment are being changed. No fault of his own. Just that the employer decided he can do this, whatever, just broke up, whatever.
Right.
He had the sense to come and seek out assistance because he figured that's wrong. We are treating people like that to represent themselves, to be able to identify the wrong and to address it. You may not have to come to see Mr. Ferguson, a court. You may be able to just handle it yourself because you understand. Listen, I got to be heard on this one, man. You just can't do this to me. It's wrong. So no, I don't. I would say that this course is designed really for working people, professional people, for people who basically just have a passion to want to do better for themselves and people around them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And just leading from that, in terms of law, it seems like in everyday life we need law daily.
Let me just add to what was said before.
Yes.
In the Bahamas for a very, very long time, there were many lawyers who didn't have any kind of degree. Some people think you have to have a degree before you become a lawyer. No. Once you did what was called pupillage, and you were attached to another lawyer, then they taught you how to present the law. One well-known lawyer, lauded lawyer, is Mr. Sean McWeeny. He does not have a law degree, but he is considered to be a very good, capable lawyer. And I tip my hats to him. Now, I'm one of them who do not believe, no disrespect, Obi. You've heard me say this before, the KCs and all that stuff. Because I don't need to have the king or queen on my shoulder in order for me to be considered good. But you do have some people, of course, who go to the master's degree level and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes that kind of training takes you somewhere you are not already. But you don't need to have all of that in order to achieve it. And so what we are trying to do, we're trying our best to inculcate into people as much as we can about life. And you'll be surprised to know how many people out there who are not lawyers, but who can understand the law, sometimes better than us lawyers. I'm not sure if Fain has had occasion sometime when I was practicing a little bit more criminal law than I do now, I would go to the prison. I like to go, but I didn't like to go. When you go to the prison, of course, everybody wants to talk to you. Everyone wants you to help them. But sometimes you find one or two of those same young men, for the most part, because I was just in the male jail. For the most part, those young men say, man, and when they come to you, the handwritten law. I'm not kidding you, Mr. Ferguson. I mean, handwritten on with their little pencil, and they have what lawyers who were working for 20 years could not put together. And they put it together very well without much interruption by someone else. So it is something, I'm saying it like that so that people out there who are listening, but no, this is not complicated. You know, Obi will tell you, "No, you ain't got to be smart like us or smart like anybody else. You just do what you can do, understand the principles, and follow them." That's what unions, for the most part, is just regular, ordinary people. You have some of the people who've gone before us, like Clifford Darling and those. They were not people who were well educated, quote unquote. And I know we use the word educated, even in this podcast so far. But being educated is not necessarily having a master's degree or a PhD, none of that kind of stuff. Being educated is just simply being told of what you need to know so that you can make it in life. I was on the beach the other day. Someone engaged me to help her because she was being moved around. She's a part of a union, but she was being moved around improperly. Now, this person, so the people out there can understand, she has a business license. It's a business license saying that you can operate your vendor business right there on that beach, right in the back of Bahama. Bahama people don't want her there because, as far as they're concerned, she does not meet what they consider to be proper, but she's making a living, a real decent living. She's there. She's given good products, good work, very good hotel experiences, not bothering anybody. And the most important thing will be, she is on the beach now, so people will understand. Most Bahamian people think the beach means the water. No, the beach means wherever they what is called in law the high water mark. Now the big question is, where's the high water mark? If most of you a lot of people have been to Goodman's Bay before. The high water mark at Goodman's Bay is where the tree line is. Go all the way from the salt, from the water, all the way to those cedar trees. That means you could be anywhere on any beach, anywhere in this country to the high water mark. No one can interfere with you. Even though some people have beaches behind their homes, it ain't their beach. The beach belongs to the public. Now, if you can get to the beach, no one can tell you to move. And some people will not want you there because they don't want ordinary people behind their homes. Nothing wrong with that. They want to be safe or they want to be nice and calm. But at the end of the day, these basic things like that, Mr. Ferguson, is something that it will be very, very good for people to come and learn. They may not learn that aspect of the law, but to learn how to think. Just ask the question.
And how to deal with that situation.
Yes.
Real quick, I just want to add something to what Code would have said. And let me say, me have worked real consistent with this particular program for years, led by Obi. I challenge anyone to take on any of our students. I can put it out there. We develop and we. I ain't gonna call the names of my students. Some of my students, any lawyer.
Yes.
I'll place one of my students up against any attorney. Any attorney.
Right.
All right. I mean, and I mean that. So if you want to answer the challenge, let's make it interesting. Come on the show and we'll see if you get it. But we take on some of my students. But in all seriousness, Code is absolutely right. He was absolutely right. This is about the daily affairs of life. And he said something about African history. And Cody's always get me like that when you do that, so I gotta say something. Obi, when you allow me now to take a certain level of involvement in preparing that thing we working on,
Okay.
there must be a chapter
Okay.
for what this country was all about before.
Man,
for-
speak
for-
out, man. Tell the people what you're talking about. Don't know the thing you're working on. You're talking about a book. Let me tell you something. Sorry, man, Fane.
Well, no.
I have to put pressure on Obi, but I also have to speak out for him
Yeah,
because
you gotta-
listen, people out there. Obadiah Ferguson has been around the labor movement for a long time. And Obi is my cousin, and he's my big cousin. And let me tell you something. I can't remember when, but I remember when Obi, when his mom was still alive. And let me tell you something. The kind of things he spoke about, I didn't know it then, but I know it now, of course, in life, that he was talking about labor issues.
Yeah,
When-
because I won't go back. I won't go back.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have to tell the story of the Bahamas that's not really been told. Where working people came from.
Yes.
Because they were working people after, what's the name, 1834? But before that, they were slaves. They were their indentured workers. Where the trade union movement comes from, it's going to be our burden to carry that story. We have to carry that story.
no
So
question
our people
about
don't know that story. And it's a proud story.
And not only that, too, when you go back into history, we used to be referred to as master and servant.
Yes.
Master and servant. Now it's an employer and an employee. So you're right. We have to tell the history so the younger generation can appreciate and understand how we get where we are.
But
It's
Obi,
very
you know
significant.
one thing though, Obi. The thing is, what people don't understand, or we don't tell them enough of,
Right.
because some of us sometimes we don't want people to think that we are thinking big about ourselves.
Right.
The reality is that those things were taught to all of us by normal, average, ordinary people
Yes,
who did not even get to the point of finishing high school
right.
or even grade school. People like my mother. My mother was what was called in the family as a monitor. It was nowadays, being in Nassau at least, we call them prefects. But a monitor on a family island with an all-age school was normally a 12 or 13-year-old child who ran the school
Right.
for the settlement. You know, the teacher may come to you maybe once every 3 months.
Exactly.
And so, but these are normal, regular people. When I mentioned Clifford Darling a moment ago. Clifford Darling, he was, what was he? Was he a big time lawyer? No. He was just a regular, ordinary fellow, a taxi driver.
Taxi driver.
That's it. But he taught all of them who were around him at that time, said, listen, what we can do, we can strike.
Right.
What that mean? What that mean, strike? Let me show you. And he tell them some things and make sure that they feel good about themselves. But you know, that Burma Road riot start. They shut down the country.
And the reclamation of dignity, which we lost hundreds of years ago, we began to reclaim through the working man's movement, and we got to tell that story.
Yeah.
Will we tell that story? Because we got to tell that story.
I will.
I get ready to tell the story.
So what I want to do too is we have some persons online. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand and then we'll call you. If you want to say a question online. But there's another question that I have, because I noticed you mentioned something about high water mark and the coastline. I think we need a show specifically just for that,
I think
because
so.
I know there's something to do with that. There's something to do with beach access. It seems like that's a really topical thing, and I know we can't cover that here today. So I think that's one area that we need to look at. But you also mentioned something about the fact that the program would also enable you to become a notary public. That's what it is.
No.
Yes, we should have mentioned that.
Yeah, I heard someone mention it when we were speaking.
JP, I think.
JP, sorry, JP,
There's an
yes.
aspect of the course which we have offered already. In fact, it's continuing, and it's a JP course, Justice of the Peace course, and persons with that training or who want that training understand, because just to have the seal is nothing, because too many JPs make the mistake of signing documents incorrectly. They don't certify the documents properly. Certain documents have to go abroad. They don't know how to deal with that through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We go into all of that. That's a practical addition to what we offer. Now, notaries public would be different, because code, and of course, will be notaries public. That's the seal they carry, and they're trained lawyers. Very few needs to further that kind of improvement, but definitely for the JP, how to do your business. It's also the means by which we control the fraudulent documents being prepared in the town, and that's a big, huge problem.
Sure. And the reason I mention that as well is because I know that the union should have those persons in there. So maybe this is something that can be reinforced with the executives of each of the unions, so that we make sure that they're also covered there as well.
That's something that Mr. Obi Ferguson achieved not too
Yes.
long ago.
Yes.
Where he, for the same purpose, knowing that for the unions, you need to have more than just him and me and Fane with our little seals, or to the same old JPs that everybody goes to. Listen, man, once we can find one or two persons who got the ability, then what Obi is determined to do is to advance them so they can become justices of the peace, and they have done, and they're accepting training.
Excellent.
And we help them to understand what they need to do. And there's nothing for us once we can show people how to do it right, like Fane said.
Certainly. And again, let me encourage those who are online. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand, and we will accept questions from you. And I'll call you so you can open up your mics and join. But just saying with that as well, because I know within the unions you'll be looking for persons to be JPs.
Right.
With the other students who may be interested in the course, would they be available to do that as well? Because I guess that is something that you're looking at. And is there some sort of how can I put it? Is there some sort of regular process for them to become recertified or something of that nature, or how does that work with that particular course?
Once they would have been brought up to speed, the Congress make a submission to the Prime Minister. About a year ago, we got about 19 JPs. They were all union officers, because we thought it was fitting for them to have that facility for their membership. Because let's say they have a young baby and they need to have the passport signed off on, we thought that should be reserved for that union, and not to have to go to an attorney and pay maybe $250 or thereabouts for that. So we have 19 of them, but we will go through all of the officers and those members who are not even in the union. Because you could, as you travel through Nassau, you can see notary, but as Professor Fiennes is saying, they do not know the technicalities of the document that they're preparing, particularly for your kind of business, land.
Yes.
People sign off and try to convey something that doesn't exist, and only to find out it creates a problem. So what we thought we would do, I think Code mentioned it, educated society is a better society, better run society. If you know what I know and I know what you know, we'll have less problems. And so we are committed to this country. This is the best little country in the world.
Yes.
We are very smart people. Look where we are. So we have taken over the country, but we want to run it. And as like Fane and Attorney Code made remarks about the remarks in the House of Parliament. We and I agree with everything they're saying, because we have to learn how to be in opposition to an issue, but respectfully, because the kids are watching that. And if that is in the House of Parliament, and that is the highest house we have, and that is, I call it the people's house, how could you behave like that? And your 12 or 13-year-old daughter or son watching that. The conversation is out the window.
You see, Obi, let me tell you something. For the comment that was made to have been made, the most important thing that I would like to convey to the public right now, do not take it lightly and don't take it joyfully. There are some people who a lot of people talk about. When they come on the internet and so on, I turn them off. My name is a four-letter word, so sometimes I have a four-letter word close to my lips, but I'm not going to say it publicly. And I remember when I used to be in Parliament, my mother called me. She was alive then. And she said, Cody, what that man say but under my gown tail? I said, what? I said, who are you talking about? She said, she was talking about Mr. Hubert Ingram.
Right.
And apparently Hubert Ingram said something, his microphone was open. And he said, he called me a Haitian. Now, when he said that, my mother, not even my mother, there was a strong F&M family member of mine who passed away now at 102. She heard and she called my mother and said, but that man talking about your son. Apparently, when he called me a Haitian, my mother then explained to me. I'm a big time lawyer, right? But she explained to me at home. I said, I don't understand what you said. He said, listen, if you are Haitian, that means you are not your daddy's son. And if you're not your daddy's son, that means I had sex with somebody other than your father that made you. And that rationale, that caused me, Obi, at about a week or 2 weeks later, I spoke openly in Parliament on that issue. And I had to make my presentation about who I was, who my father was, where he was from, who my mother was, etc. All of the other many different, including you, I spoke about you, all the many different family members who I had, who I do not know that they're Haitian. And if it is, and for instance, there was someone who was close enough to Hubert. I said, but if I'm a Haitian, she's a Haitian too. And she was a big time cabinet member in his government. And I remember when I was getting close to wrapping up what I had to say, I call it, he did the old Church of God move, put his finger up in the air and walk on the Parliament. Because he knew I was rapping, I was going to say something directly to him, which I did. But the point is this, we cannot allow people to control the narrative. And then if they do, don't take it as a joke. So anybody that's saying that Mr. Rollins said something that was funny, it ain't funny. It was actually very dangerous. Because let's imagine that he is successful at saying what he wants to say and causing that to happen to that lady. That means that he's going to still want many women and men to support him. For what?
And some people believe that you say something like that, you put mouth on people. Some people take that seriously.
No, that's a serious thing,
Very,
man.
very serious.
Serious
Very,
thing.
very serious.
For most of y'all out there, all of us are normal, old-time Bahamian people. Yeah. You put mouth on somebody, watch it, the same thing you put on them, they come right back to you.
I wonder if I could just share this with me before you go back, because we go. The Supreme Court, I'm sorry, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. The leader of the executive is Philip Davis. The leader of the judiciary is Ian Winder, and of course we know the House Speaker is Madam DeVoe.
Yeah,
Patricia DeVoe. No lawyer can go into court and utter those words and not find himself or herself near or in jail. I don't want to continue too much with this, but anyway, let me finish the thought. The speaker. Let me be fair now. You've got to be balanced here now. He ought not. She was in charge. She ought not to have allowed him to engage her like that. I'm gonna leave that just there.
Let's speak it. The reality is the speaker has the power, literally, Obi, to jail a person who stand out of line, or at least hold them contempt. And if nothing else, that's her house. That's not the people's house. People, we get confused. That's not the people's house. That House of Assembly belongs to Patricia DeVoe. And if she says, listen, Mr. Prime Minister, you're wrong. You must leave this floor. Full stop. Got to go.
In other words, she has to protect our democracy by not allowing herself to be drawn like that. All right? Now, I don't want that to become the issue of the show, because I'm sure people out there listening to us.
That's true.
But this is what we do. We will encourage.
So we're going to need a show just for that.
This program encourages discussion, responsible, free discussion. And I enjoy it when my students get to this point. And Code is leading the way. Obi's, of course, leading the way. But some things we have to treasure in our country. Yes. And institutions are important. The Speaker of the House is an institution. That's what she is. That's what she is, whether she likes it or not.
Not so much so her, but
the judiciary, an institution.
The reality is,
and the kids are watching.
No judge would allow any of us to come into his or her court and be disrespectful, especially to him or her. Yeah. Will never happen. They hold in contempt right away. Sometimes they wrongfully hold you in contempt, and some of them, when they hold you in contempt wrongfully, we have to challenge that, and that's why we have to go to the court of appeal on different things. Obi has lost many cases over the years, but same case he lose in the Supreme Court, even in the court of appeal or the Privy Council. Because so you have to be in a mindset of challenging. You have to be defiant, but you have to be respectful.
Respectful, absolutely.
Absolutely. And so just leading from that, because I notice with a lot of things that we do here in the Bahamas, we don't normally include our family islands and things. How are we able to include our family island members, our family island constituents in this entire process? Are we able to look at getting some solutions for them? Because I know even expenses are it's even expensive sometimes for them to move to Nassau or to Grand Bahama to do certain courses. Was there any facility with, like, say, the Ministry of Education to cover their expenses or something of that nature?
Well, they don't have to come to Nassau to come to our program, and many other programs as well. In fact, our program, for the most part, is really online.
Okay.
So once you have, and if you don't have, then we will try our best to put pressure on who needs to be put pressure on so you can get online. Now, what they tell me is that the Bahamas government is going to take us down the digital road, where every community in the country is going to be digitized at no expense to you, because most of us have to pay someplace to be able to be online continually.
Yes.
But for the most part, even courts for the most part, the Privy Council, you have to always travel from here all the way to London to be heard. And now, in recent times, they had a lot more online. Where the Privy Councillors come online and they hear you, you make your presentation. And most of the courts are now online.
Okay.
So the course specifically then is national.
Yes.
Okay.
And just to add to that, the president of the Inagua organization, Mr. Ingram, he did the course, and he was in Inagua.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
For the
Excellent.
entire course.
Excellent.
Grand Bahama, a number of persons in Grand Bahama, they would have done the course. So you do not physically need to be here. You have access by way of, it could be Zoom. You just watch it and participate in the whole process.
See, the other thing too, Mr. Ferguson, not Obi Ferguson,
Yes,
Benjamin.
yes.
But the thing is this,
Yes.
and if you don't mind, I call you Benjamin. so
That's
I don't get
okay. Don't worry
confused.
about it.
The reality is that with what we are hoping we do, what I know whenever I am able to present, I hope to get people's way of thinking to be changed. Because if your way of thinking changes, then you can deal with the many, many different aspects of legal issues. Think about it for a second. You talk about the family islands. Throughout the whole Bahamas, we have now in the Bahamas at least about 500 or more fly fishing professional guides. And all of it is based on the law. Mind you, we had to be defiant. We had to put together and fight against the oligarchs around the world in the Bahamas who try not to have people to have their own individual businesses. And now we have catch and release process all over the country. And those guys are all a part of what goes on.
Yes.
And so we need to make sure, let people know learning law is not learning all the many different things that we have to esoterically go through every day in court. It's just to learn the basic principles of how to think.
Awesome. Awesome. And so just wondering with that as well, because I know this is a very, very impactful course. It seems that this has been groundbreaking for quite a while, especially including the Family Islands. Are we able to get scholarships from any of those agencies, the government institutions, to actually assist some of these members to complete the courses? Are we able to get that now? Because I think if we're not able to get it, I think that needs to be a priority to make sure that that happens, because this is a wonderful course. And I think that would make it open to quite a few more persons as well.
Yes, to be honest with you, over the last 30 years, pretty much 75, 80% of the students the employer paid for it.
Awesome.
I mean, for Atlantis, for an example, um, um, Grand Bahama Port Authority, the University of the Bahamas, Water and Sewage, um, Batelco, as it was called then, they all paid. Even the union pays.
Excellent.
The unions, when you see them coming from the union would pay the cost. So, yes, and in some cases we give scholarships to one or two deserving individuals to do the course. So the funding has been generally from their employers, be it from the union or from the regular employers.
But Obi, the one thing I'd like to add to that, because I heard something earlier today that one particular union leader was suggesting that he or she was going to stop paying for someone to come to this course.
Right.
What the union leaders need to keep in the front of their minds, in my view, they have to see themselves as parents, Benjamin. When your son is born, you don't think about whether you're going to pay for him to go to school. And when we look at that, Obi, there are some schools that are more expensive than others. But what the government of the Bahamas does, it makes sure in the Bahamas everyone can go to school. And so therefore, we have BTVI and all these other places that they pay for. Obi has been, as far as he needed to, bankrolling this thing for years, decades.
I should imagine so. That's why you see I brought up the scholarship.
And
aspect.
let me tell you something, Ben.
Yes.
The reality is, I take my hat off, and at the same time, I wish to chastise Obi because he has been doing it no matter what. Not one day. Right now, Obi, I don't know if you'll ever get it now because the Minister for Education, I'm not too sure he's your friend. but I'll tell you one thing. If it is, and if Mr. Chester Cooper is listening to me, who's the Minister for Education, one of the things that would really put him in the good books of a lot of people in this country, as the Minister responsible for Education, is one of the biggest ministries that the Bahamas government has. For him to say, something, I'm going to put $500,000 or $1 million toward this legal program, so that what we can do, we can make sure we can spread this across and make sure no matter what, everybody who can participate.
I agree.
Participate.
I agree.
Yes. Yes.
Make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good idea. But this is our country, and Code, you have a very good relationship with the Deputy Prime Minister. So, we got to use Fane where we can. We got to use, as you see, we have Mr. Ferguson making sure everybody can hear us. So if we do it collectively, I think we would all be better off as a result. And the country would be better off. Because Reg Lebusky, the late Reg Lebusky, when he was around, we used to go, he was very much a part of the program. He used to go with me 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning to go to Freeport to take care of all of the students from the Port Authority and elsewhere. And we had Justice Hall. He was one of our lecturers. We had Justice Osadebe is one of our lecturers. We had Justice Thomas Evans, who was at one point acting. All of the lawyers, Wayne Monroe, who's now Attorney General, he was one of our lecturers. Quite a bit. As a matter of fact, all of the judges at that point, from Justice Hall, Boyden Hall down, was a part of this program. So it has a tremendous history. And as Fane and Code indicated, the history of this program is very important. And maybe, the issues you have with the students and Code, it's a good thing you mentioned that. A lot of issues involving principals and directors and so on. If they understand the law, they would be able to better deal with the people that they're supervising.
Yes.
So maybe that may be a good idea Because BEC, this program, every administrator they had in BEC. Same thing with the university. All of the administrators, we were training 40 students, 30 students. Patelco would block off Churchill Street at the hotel, and they would bring in about 20, maybe 30 of their people in the day to be trained. So all of the government corporations went through this program. All the personal directors, the CEOs, the chairman of the various departments. So it has been a very effective situation. And now that we go on by way of this the podcast, right? I think we can reach more people, and we can train them wherever they are. Because we have not done. We used to, before this came into being, the lecturers used to physically come into the building. Now that is not necessary.
No, that's not.
That's not necessary. Miss Major is in Grand Bahama. She coordinates the program. She got everything going very well for us. And now that we have this going, we have a fixed day and a time. Mr. Ferguson to tell us the best way to do that. And we want to educate this Bahamas. We want, when I went to the UK, very briefly, let me say this, just on every corner there was a legal aid clinic. And every English child basically know their rights. But like Coach said, they don't even know they do not know who Carlton Francis is. They just graduated. I asked him, I said, do you know anything about Sir Randall Fox? He asked me, was it Fox? I said, no, I said Fox. You don't know what the hell I'm talking about. That's terrible.
And what was good, and I was very happy when you told me a few years ago now.
Yeah.
And in fact, I went to the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding.
Yes.
When the current Prime Minister, was, of course, in opposition at the time. And he signed to say that he would ensure that one of the dreams of Sir Randall would come to existence, and that is to spruce up and to build out properties, renovate the House of Labour, which is falling apart. But unfortunately, that one fell through the cracks.
Right.
I am hoping, Obi, that those talks will be open again.
Yes.
And I hope he is listening. And if he is not listening, I'm sure someone else who is listening could go and tell him that I say that I think that he now needs to pay attention to the people.
Yeah.
When I listen to all of the different contracts that have been out there, to all kind of different people, we now need to look at the people. And one of the persons that you could deal with to help the people is the same TUC.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this TUC was on record
Yes.
and doing what was necessary to get him elected. So,
Yes.
So we have a commitment, Code, and you're perfectly right. We support that position 1 trillion%, because we have to learn how to take care of the people who caused you to be where you are. And we're not going to allow that to be forgotten. Trust me.
Yes. Okay.
Trust me. We want to educate the Bahamians, because when we ask them to come out with us to do something, they will know how to do it. And I'm relying on Mr. Ferguson, who would continuously educate people on how to zoom in. I just sent a letter out today asking them all to do precisely what he asked me to do. And we'll be okay. Because the reason why you are lecturing, Code, because of your experience, man. That you can't let that go unnoticed. Miles Monroe said, if you go in the graveyard, everybody, all kind of PhDs all over the place, right? So why can't we do it while we're here? Why are we so different with one another? Because he different with you on a position, you're going to say you're going to deny him, and because you're not only denying him, you deny his whole family and friends. So we must stand as Bahamians. Stand as Bahamians.
But the one thing I want to say, Obi, and this is me now speaking from my heart, and that is to encourage people out there, despite the fact that others do not recognize you, remember It is you. You are the one who's going to cut the pathway. Imagine, especially those who in the family islands, imagine you have your cutlass and you're going through the bush. You got to cut the branch and watch it for the haul back so don't pull you back.
That's right. That's right.
But you know, Miss Bent, because you are there all the time.
Trust me. That's
And Obi may not remember that because he was a good boy in Athens in those days. He was a stalky, but he was big shots. But the point is that cut your own way. And if at the end of the day, people do not recognize who you are, what you have to give, then you give it the way you give it and be happy about giving it. See me, I was involved with the environment for the last 35 plus years, and I never left it, and I will never leave it.
Right.
And even though Perry Christie had asked me, and he wasn't, I believe, altogether for real, wanted me to be involved with helping to promote the environment and matters to do with fly fishing, but I'm still there.
Right.
And I'm still very much involved with fly fishing.
Right.
And at the end of the day, maybe a lot of people don't know that, but all the fly fishermen know that throughout this whole country.
Right. Right. That's important.
yes. And I know. I know.
I
this-
wonder
sorry,
if
go
I
ahead.
want to just give an example as to why this conversation is so important. Just the other day in South Africa, I'm sure you guys may have heard about it. Hundreds of thousands, I hate to say it, of black people, South Africans, decided to attack thousands of black people who were there as migrant workers. Some may be undocumented and so forth, so much so that it led to violence. Well, Nigerians had to return to Ghana. I mean, Nigeria. Hundreds of Ghanaians had to return to Ghana. Zimbabweans, Malawians, all had to leave South Africa for their lives. Now, remember, we just had an election. One of the big issues was this hysteria that we seem to be so fond of. One of the reasons why this course is so important is because we have to tell the story about who Clifford Darling is. We have to tell the story about why he was so important. We have to tell the story, and I've told a couple of times in the class, of the general strike, where it came from. We have to tell the story about the Burma Road. I call it rebellion. I never call it riot.
Yeah.
I call it rebellion.
Yes.
And I want this course to be, in many ways, responsible for teaching those kids out there who don't know who Mr. Darling is. That
See, but Fane, on the issue of law, sorry to cut you off, but on the issue of law, what you just said just now is highly important. That there's a distinction between rebellion and rioting.
Yeah, yeah.
Rioting is against the law; it's criminal.
I've never used the word.
But a rebellion, it means that you had some people come together as a union, Obi,
Yes.
and they decided to strike. Strike with this, and we're gonna stop you in your tracks from doing what you're doing.
And for that reason, this course is important. And you don't know that's one of the reasons why you still got me.
Okay.
Because I never saw this course as being limited in its scope.
Right.
I like the way that, for example, Mr. Osadabe begins his book. But he begins at the beginning of the 20th century and he comes forward. That's fine.
Yes.
But that don't tell the whole story.
No.
And notwithstanding the fact that he was a Nigerian who became a Bahamian,
Right.
Obi, you got to tell the story. We have to tell the story.
Yes.
All got to tell the story.
Yes.
Our kids must know why we must know who Clifford Darling is, and why who Miss Lockhart is.
Right.
The freedom fighter. Why my grand aunt,
Right.
Evelyn Cambridge, who she is, and why she was who she is. All those things have to be told, and this is the way we go about it, and this is the way we are obliged to go about it. So the course, ladies and gentlemen, is interactive. It's designed to focus you on what's important, and yeah, everybody, people have points of view. FNMs and PLPs welcome, including Koi and brother Bain. And I understand we get another group emerging now. So this is part of the process, and this course encourages responsible dissent, 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 because that informs and that educates our people.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. And thank you for that. That's some wonderful discourse. So my thing is, before I say this other question, I just want to put Mr. Fred Munnings on alert because I'd like to hear from him as well.
Okay.
So if you could get ready to open your mic, Mr. Munnings. But just before we get to Mr. Munnings, I looked at this in terms of what we presented here today. And it's so amazing how impactful this is for the Bahamas. So I'm thinking we do need to have a panel with those who are still here with us, who initiated that, So we could have a panel with them, especially some of those justices, and then let's have a panel with some of those former students as well, because I think that would be very beneficial to hear their experiences, what they came across, see what things that they found in their practice based on what they would have learned here. And so, with Brother Munnings, are you with us?
Yes, my brother, I've been listening very attentively to the learned professors and the president. The only thing I would like to perhaps maybe they could confirm that it would be important to those who are listening. One, how long is the course and what duration? That's one. And number two, the ways by which the course may be accessed through unions participation, through corporate participation, and in some instances, perhaps maybe we can establish some kind of scholarships. As you were talking, and Code mentioned the Minister of Education. I believe that it may not be a bad idea to lobby strongly to the Ministry of Education, to lobby to these cruise ships, to lobby to these mega resorts, to lobby to these corporate citizens, to lobby to the web shop owners and the banks, etc. Because at the end of the day, an educated employer, an educated employee can only yield better production.
Yes.
And so I'd like for them to speak, the panel to speak to the cost in terms of the finances involved in the various ways by which a payment plan may even be established, and to us to encourage the unions
Yes.
as a part of their contribution to their membership to select at least two of its members or three that will be available as advocates for the union, as we did with the Justice of the Peace program. So it is crucial. You know, I heard somebody said once, if you believe education is expensive, try ignorance. And so we want to encourage all those,
That's appropriate. That's appropriate.
call all those who are listening to think of creative, innovative ways.
You know,
Because,
Freddie, let me tell you something. Sorry to cut you, but the reality is this, Ovi. The TUC has about 42, 43 unions in it. Every single one of the unions to the TUC, in my view, should, and if they don't have, like they used to have in the time when I was growing up, have an education committee as a part of your union. And you have that body, and you have a vice president or a senator or a director responsible for that. And you go through your union and you make sure as many people could come to a course like this. And for the union to pay for it.
I absolutely agree with you that I may even want to add to that, and perhaps maybe during the union's industrial agreement negotiations,
Yes.
we may be able to negotiate with the employer to contribute to that educational fund, and at least one scholarship could be offered by every union to its members to take this course, because again, I repeat, the more educated your employee, the more educated your employers, the better for production and productivity. So I end with that.
And sorry, if I could just add to what you just said there, Brother Munnings. As President Ferguson had mentioned, previously employers would have paid for their administrators to be a part of the program. We could almost try to make sure that this is mandated, so that when they come in, they actually do the program as a part of their social responsibility, because, you know, a lot of these employers have this corporate social responsibility. And so that could be almost like a mandated thing as a part of the government procedure, because you're bringing in this foreign investment, foreign direct investment. And as they come in, they just make sure that their people get the training from this course, in addition to also allowing the union members and the employees to get the training. So I think those are things that could assist with it as well. And what it means is that, just as was mentioned here, you'll have both an educated employer and an educated employee. So I think those, just to add to what you just said, and I think that's really probably a sustainable way.
You've just opened up another aspect of it. For many years, Commonwealth of the Bahamas Trade Union in Congress has been lobbying for the establishment of a labor college. The idea for us, if we had been able to restore the House of Labor, that would have been the foundation by which we could have led that initiative, so that the labor college would have emerged out of that, and this particular program would have been a mandatory for all persons matriculating through such a program. So there are a number of ways, and you mentioned about the corporate involvement. Yes, corporate companies may be interested in educating their HR people, but I think the corporate entities need to understand equally that as they educate their employers, we need to educate our employees, because an employee who feels that he is appreciated and valued on the job can only become a more productive employee. So again, I think a way to do it would be to incorporate it in your negotiations in your industrial agreement. So it's mandatory. It's a part of the industrial agreement that even if the union and the employer share the cost,
Absolutely.
in terms of the scholarship, to ensure that every union have someone who would have matriculated through this program, so that our employees can have the benefit of that advocacy.
Yes, I think that's a wonderful idea. And just adding just one more aspect to that, because of course, people move, they change jobs over time, just to make certain that they have succession planning in all of the unions, so that when there is some type of movement, retiring, moving overseas, that there is somebody else who would have been trained subsequent to those persons to make sure that there's continuation and it moves forward. And maybe even just having updates to the course every so often, maybe every 2 years, every year that they have an update.
Yeah, that's very important, because as you could well appreciate, the aspect of what we're talking about is we are calling it a law course. I try not to call it a law course, because when I went to law school, I didn't like law school. I still don't like law school. And that's why I try as best I can when I teach in this course. I teach it from a life perspective. And because once you do that, the average person can understand life. They may not know the technicalities of everything, but they can understand it. When you talk to a person who is a driver, he or she knows how to drive. You must drive on the left-hand side. How many of us, from time to time or once in a while, have bumped into somebody, literally? I just had another matter the other day where someone was running a dental practice who's not a dentist. And now there are many problems associated with that, but one of the first ones is we all need to understand that from the moment you touch somebody, you have assaulted them. But once you do that, and you are now using an edge tool, and you break their skin and there's blood, even though it may not be in malice, now that is something famous that you go to jail for that.
Get sued for that too.
Okay, and so the point is, these are some basic stuff that happens. So all of the employers out there would be, as Freddie said, it would be sensible for them to make sure that their people understand what to do, what not to do, and if they need to be trained and coached by people like us, let us do that. And it constantly changes.
I have one interest, following on what Code is now speaking. to, I'm sure Mr. Ferguson would not have a difficulty, and Cole, of course, and all of the lecturers, with the course actually being monitored by persons, audited. That's one aspect that perhaps we can add to the whole, because some people who are not, they just may have an interest. I'd like to be part of this program because I know Cole is lecturing on this matter, and Mr. Ferguson on that matter, and who else on that matter. So, and the auditing process, I think, may allow persons to come in on a piecemeal basis.
No, I think, Finn, you may need to explain what you mean by auditing.
Oh, auditing. It's not part of a. It's not part of a.
You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get a grade.
Yeah, you just audit it, and we'll just confirm that you attended the lectures and so forth.
Right.
Interest, bottom. Man, plenty of people. I'm sure plenty of people. I hope plenty of people are listening to us. But some people out there, they just maybe be interested in. Okay, I'd like to see what is being said about this particular issue. Let me audit the course. You call the office.
How many times? Sorry, how many times you were there listening? You watch Parliament on TV, and you wish you had something to say right then, right there, but you can't. This type process and program, I believe, should encourage people to participate. Let me tell you something. If you can just be a part of good discussion, it really would make you more. It could really make you more effective.
Absolutely. I have a question. We are across how many platforms?
Presently, we're streaming over YouTube.
YouTube.
We're eventually going to go to Facebook and to.
So at the end of
TikTok.
each show, there's a YouTube.
Yes, you'll be able to see each volume. So we're going to have that available. Now,
go ahead.
So now what we're going to do as well is we're going to make sure that we show all the volumes and each show, because this is the intention, each show is going to be different. So the show for the law school will be a different show because initially we started all as one podcast. The
I get it.
21-point agenda will be a different show. The surveyors will have a show. And so on. Everybody would have a different show. And I see now, after speaking today, we're going to have something.
That's where it should be told, because it really that's been the so-called movement to achieve greater access to that beach became a massive issue, and I don't know how far.
I think that is definitely, and I'll say, Ben, the next big thing you need to do is to find the time. Don't just push it on, promote it.
Yes.
So that people can participate.
Yes, and this is what we want to do as well, which is why we started with this process. Once we get people to start subscribing and we get their emails, we're going to create a WhatsApp group for them as well. So they're always updated as to our new podcast times. And just like you say, we want to continue promoting.
Is this something? Are you planning a regular time? Are we
Regular
planning a
time?
regular
Yes,
time at
that's
this
correct.
stage?
That's correct.
Okay, so persons listening now would be interested to know. I
Sure.
guess, maybe
And
how
we
that
would have
works.
already put in the group some of the contacts, and we're also going to go out to everybody
Are
as
you
well.
developing a WhatsApp group now?
Yes, we are. Yes,
the-
yes. So there are a number of things that we're going to do. Once we get the right number of subscribers, we'll be able to do certain other things. So it's related to how many people are subscribing to us, you see? And so after that, there's certain other things that kick in for us as
If
well.
this show was set up in the United States, would you also be able to monetize the show?
I'm certain we should be able to.
If it was
and
done in the U.S.?
yes, I'm certain we would be able to. Yes. From the
But,
U.S. side.
that's another thing too, because remember, with the internet,
Yes.
you're not just restricted to the Bahamas.
No, definitely not. And we just
someone could be in South Africa listening to
that's
us right
correct.
now.
That's correct. And we can do that. And we just didn't do it as yet, but we do intend to do that. But we just wanted to make sure that we were up and about first. and then-
Because I think
yes.
I think, Ben, the reality is, if you have this TUC podcast, TUC has some clout,
Around the world?
especially around the world and, and
so
in the
so now
Caribbean.
I thank you for that
So-
because
so-
we're gonna have to engage them urgently.
Right, and so,
Yes.
so
problem too. You got too many lawyers in this room. No. The fact of the matter is, I see it doing well. And you have to copyright it
yeah.
because the show can be canned. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely correct.
can
Yes.
shows.
Yes.
Show them and then they are
Yes,
appointed to be
yes.
shown,
Yes.
and et cetera, et cetera. et
Yes,
cetera.
absolutely. And that's our intention as well.
You can can your shows.
Okay.
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
canning is also a big way to raise to monetize the show.
Sure, absolutely.
But there's nothing wrong, though, Ben, Obi, with you all finding some of your supporters now.
Yes.
And you may not be able to make big money initially. Everything starts from the beginning.
That's correct.
But definitely to get out there and to,
Certainly.
This grows big. This
Yes.
explodes. if it's done right.
Well, this, and especially for the CBTUC, there's so much history, there's so much knowledge, there's so much skills. And I'm telling you, people don't know what's available. They don't understand what's here. There's a very serious lack of information, and this is going to be a
it's a
vehicle
desert.
to. Yeah,
It's a
it is.
desert.
The
It is.
reality
It is.
is, Ben, the reality is the TUC and the whole concept what you had in mind, Obi Ferguson, you have more issues that can come out of this kind of discussion than any of the other talk shows. I'm not talking nonsensical nonsense. You know, but
Who's sleeping with doing all kind of
almost every single day
There'll be an
there's some,
issue.
and I don't have to tell you all as lawyers, especially who deal with labor, almost every single day. Obi, I'm sure sometimes you come into work to do a particular thing, you never get there.
Never get there.
You know, because you're always on the phone having to try and put out fires. And so, can you imagine in one day you have 20 different issues that you have to deal with substantively? I'm not talking about legal issues because people call Obi, but they ain't got nothing to do with law at all.
I could imagine.
And some of them, they do with me sometimes. You stay on the phone for a long time.
and to be little loyally like you guys, I mean, you got some very important cases which have been handed down, decided upon. Maybe the nerds in our community won't. Irvin Dean,
Yeah.
massive case, massive case. People don't even. I can call the name again for them. For those of you who are listening, Irvin Dean against BPL. I got it right, Obi.
Yes.
I got it right. Irvin Dean. You got to check that out because that has a lot to do with your rights, your working rights, and so forth. You know, these are real important. So we know that thing they call BOOK coming soon. If we put so much pressure on Obi,
Well, the thing is, what's a good thing is we started with it visually because Bahamians don't like to read, but they will watch a short video.
They would.
Yeah, some do now, but I'm saying you generally don't.
You
Yeah.
get a little animated.
Yes, I think so.
Like
I
who's
think so.
Clifford Darling?
Yes,
Blah,
yes,
blah,
yes,
blah,
yes.
blah,
And another thing what I noticed with us as well is that we've been trained now to take things in small snippets. We've been trained to do that. So our minds now have been trained to take things in small snippets, Yes, and we used to flipping the channel, so our brains now have been sort of customized. And so, sometimes we have to work with it and then you hit something that you really are interested in and then you spend an hour on that.
The long arc of history from the first union ever formed in the Bahamas. Where did they come from? Where did they come from? They came from our people in struggle.
Yes.
That's a video. I see 30 minutes, 25
Yes,
minutes,
yes,
15
yes,
minutes. That's
yes,
a video.
yes.
Now, the work is expensive because some people have to edit it and do this and produce a production and so
Yes,
forth.
yes.
But I see no limits. I see no limits.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good.
Yes, and so only one other thing I want to mention, and then we'll get some last words from everybody. You mentioned something about persons who were doing a service that they were not qualified to do. They weren't a doctor. And I just remember one instance, there was a lawyer who mentioned something to me. And he said, listen, when you put in your application for your passport, they ask you your profession. So why couldn't I put attorney on my profession? Because I could put that. You don't have any requirement to show me qualifications. So I could put attorney on my passport. And who's to question that? So I mean, those are some of the things that I want to throw at you at some point. That's another show, right? Because how do you do that? How do you say I'm not a physician?
If it's a public document requiring accurate information, it could be a criminal offense.
Okay.
To lie.
Okay.
It depends on the document.
Okay. And we talking about a passport now. But how do you determine I'm not an attorney?
No, there's some things, you mentioned doctor also.
Yes.
There's some professions that you're not permitted to joke with. You have to, as an attorney, the law says you cannot present yourself as an attorney to give information and advice to people unless you are. And if you do that, you've broken the law.
Sure,
and you could possibly end up in jail. As a doctor, I could say, yes, I'm a doctor. And what are you going to do? Cut somebody that will have an operation? Now, you have some people in the world who do that. They're not qualified to do, but they do it. And some of them actually do it well. Some of them do it better than some doctors. But that's, like you said, that's a time so we can talk about
absolutely.
that as an issue.
How are we looking in terms of tonight?
Oh, I'll be able to tell you later. We had a few people on the pod on the actual Zoom, but we didn't have a lot on it. And so I guess as we do what we had intended to make sure get all the emails and get the persons to actually subscribe, it'll be a difference because we really have to make sure that everybody subscribes, especially starting with the union, and then we go to the general workers generally, because even the workers can benefit from this, separate who are not a part of the union as yet. And so, looking at that figure of 240,000 as workers in the Bahamas, I'm
Listen,
sure.
Ben,
Yeah.
Darrell is our homeboy again from Crooked Island.
Yeah.
Darrell Miller, when he was alive,
Yes.
Darrell say, I will know your family.
Yes. That's it. That's
Show
it.
me a picture of your
That's
wife
it. That's it.
and your children.
That's it. That's it.
That little small comment like that, those kind of things are things that attract people to listen.
Absolutely.
Now, mind you, Darrell, smart fellow from university like that, but he had the buttons to push. He knew exactly what to push.
Absolutely.
All I'm saying to us here is that if we make it interesting enough, people will come. Simple.
Yes.
And then once we get OB, I think, into a situation of regularity. And whatever it is, even if it's just 2 days a week, but everyone knows 2 days a week, come Wednesday, come Friday, whatever the situation is,
Yes.
that's
yes.
when this thing is
Absolutely.
going to be.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree with that.
And trust me when I tell you that you'll have some people, no matter what they do, and I'm not saying this for my aggradation, is that when I was in Parliament, there's some people who used to say to me, and they still say to me today, boy, no matter what I did, every time I knew he was going to speak, I listened in.
And when I had an opportunity to work with Charles Carter on Parliament Street for 2 or 3 years. I don't know how long it was. When he one of the producer, but we call it a producer. We call it a producer. Right. She would say, Fane, it's important when you start your show, you have an intro, and then you must have an exit. So an extra. So you keep the you keep the activity high, you keep the people engaged, and so forth.
Absolutely.
And Parliament Street was I met it popular. But Steve McKinney and I were on the show at the same time, and it became even more substantive because the conversation was freewheeling.
Yes.
And the same thing. I see the same thing. This is the first time in a long time that I see a freewheeling opportunity where people can actually come and begin to have that kind of conversation, which is just not steeped in who's sleeping with who.
Right.
And cussing and carrying on Facebook like it ain't got no sense.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, sensible things. And like I said, unfortunately, some of the people who now a lot of people talk about are not people that's worthy at all of your time or anyone else's time for that matter. For what?
Mind you, they have a place, but I don't think it's a place where they need to come and look for some
No,
activity. Ratchet, you won't find too much ratchet here. I mean, forgive me, Obi. I know you and I, we sometimes crack jokes about certain people on Facebook. You ain't gonna find too much ratchet here.
Right.
It can be fun, it can be entertaining. We're going to engage you. You ain't gonna find too much, who's talking about who and who's sleeping with who and which MP is this and all of that.
So last 20 minutes, 20 seconds, please. 20 seconds. We want to get your
Obi, you want to say anything
your
about
final,
that,
Brother Frederick Munnings. If you could say your last 20 seconds, final words.
I just want to once again encourage all of those who are listening to
absolutely.
Speak to your respective groups, get involved with this educational program, because, like I said, once again, the educated employee makes for a better production for the development of our nation. So we want to encourage all, particularly the unions, to incorporate in the industrial agreements an educational article so that the employer and the employee can offer some type of scholarship to ensure that we educate our membership and be a part of this very, very aggressive and developmental programs so we can have a better educated workforce.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Brother Code Smith,
Well,
final 20 seconds, final words. please.
as even shorter than 20 seconds. What Freddie said just now is perhaps out of all of the conversation today is the most important one that matches with what I've been saying. And that is a developmental type process that we want to help people with. With all due respects to OB, I don't want it to be that we are just lawyers who want to do a law course. Law goes far beyond actus reus and all these other legal concepts. So I would want to encourage people, if they want to be involved because you want to develop your mind. And definitely, I'll end on this one. Long time ago, when I used to pay attention to TV much more than I do now, there was a program called The Paper Chase. It's a legal program. And the intro, like Fane was talking about a moment ago, the intro was this professor. And the professor was, I think his name was Kingsfield or something like that.
Remember that?
And he said, the study of law is something new and unfamiliar to most of you. You teach yourselves the law. I will train your minds. You may come in here with a skull full of mush,
Love it.
but if you survive, you leave thinking like a lawyer. And that's what we want to do, have you thinking like a lawyer.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I was
Sorry.
Just real quick,
Yes.
I only want to reiterate, Freddie, guys. Let's get the, let's get the trade union movement and the Bahamian people involved in this. Okay, all them other shows, watch out, we coming.
Right. Thank you. All right, President Ferguson.
Yes, I would like to close out by saying that the commencement of the program is on July 7th. So you can call to the office. We'll try to send it out to as many of you as possible. But you can call the office 323-2241, and they can have the documents emailed to you with the application forms, the outline of the program, etc. So we're looking for quite a turnout of persons in this program. As was indicated, the lectures are very, very good. We would probably have one or two students who would have gone through this program to come and spend a little bit of time with you so you can see what we are capable of doing with, your mind and your body. So we're going to do everything we have to do to make this a success, because Bahamians we are just the smartest group of people you can find. I mean, I have no doubt about that at all. So when they talk about us, they ain't talking about us, they're talking about some other people. They just ain't talking about Bahamians. The records showed we in baseball, we in basketball, we academians, technicians, you name it. Bahamians, we are just trained to think in a particular way. Even if we started with zero, at the end of the day, we are capable of doing some great things. So I look forward to the applications coming in, and we will take it from there. 323-2241. It starts 7th of July, and we will have a nice little get-together just before you get started. I'm going to talk to the lecturers. Maybe have a little soft opening. So we're looking for quite a bit of persons. Tell the employer pay for it. They've been paying for it before. Port Authority in Grand Bahama, they have done the job. The banks have paid. Island Resorts have paid. Bahama has paid. The University of the Bahamas, BPL, Water and Sewage, BTC, everybody, all the banks have their human resource managers who would have done this program. So we look forward, okay? Okay, we look forward to seeing you. And I'm going to check with my secretary tomorrow morning, not tomorrow, Monday afternoon about 5, to see how many of you all would have signed up for the program on the 7th. Good evening, and thank you very much for listening to my experts and our technical man here. And he is also a lecturer at the university. So you're not getting And this whole package is a good package for you.
And a surveyor.
And a surveyor.
So
And,
he's
who-
a land man.
and he is gonna provide land surveyed for every union in the TUC. And not only that, all other unions who are mindful to do that, we're going to make sure that they secure your land, that you can put your building on and you can own something. This is what we are trying to do. We can do it. For the next 5 years, we're going to be devoted to Bahamians, period.
Thank you so much, President Ferguson. And with that, just before we end, I just want to say something. Coming back from South Africa, like they told us, the Bahamas is a small country with a big impact. And so that's just following up from President Ferguson. So thank you very much. Thank you for the podcast, and we see all of you again soon. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Okay.
Blessings to all.
Good evening to all, and be safe getting home.
You carved your name in Bahamian history. Oh, Serrano, fearless freedom fighter. Warrior with a courageous heart. Champion for the poor and working class from the start. You stood strong, never backed away. Fighting for workers night and day. You gave your all so we could see a brighter path for the north.
Yeah.